We are driving in an area called South Melbourne. South Melbourne is renowned for having trucks come through and get caught under this very bridge that is ahead of us. Don't know if you can see it, but in front of us there are these coloured dangles. They call them the dangles. These are set to the height of the bridge. We've just gone under the dangle, and here's the bridge. This bridge has caused no end of troubles. Accidents like you wouldn't believe. There's the dangles on the opposite side. And now we head up through an area still part of South Melbourne, but we're going to head up through an area called Elwood Park, which is about where the Australian Grand Prix is run, and then after that we'll head through a suburb called St Kilda, which is an interesting place. It was St Kilda was actually the place where the rich and famous used to go and spend their time, and after that it fell into an area of disrepute, and now it's sort of being cleaned up again, but still being seen as partly disrepute, partly property in there. Funnily enough, an area of disrepute where the property values are worth squillions and squillions of dollars. As you can see, some detour here because we've still got some construction happening. Infrastructure right now is being built at an incredibly huge rate around the city of Melbourne, and as a result there's a lot of detours and so forth, and right now this COVID time frame makes it very easy for there to be disruption because lockdowns, there's not much traffic out there, and as a result the construction sites can work. So directly in front of me, as we turn the corner, you'll see a building on the right hand side. That is the South Melbourne Market. South Melbourne Market is a market where people can come in and purchase all sorts of goods and services and so forth. They're mostly foodstuffs, but there are food and craft and all that sort of stuff in there. Very shortly we'll be passing the area where the Australian Grand Prix is run. I'm trying to keep the windows as clean for you as possible. But this is all part of South Melbourne. As we come across, we're still in South Melbourne for the moment. We'll be crossing the border out of South Melbourne and heading into Elwood Park at the next set of traffic lights. Now the road I'm on is called Canterbury Road. Canterbury Road has got some interesting things on it. For starters, properties where we're going past now used to be squash courts, and they've converted those into apartments. They back right onto what they call the light rail, which is actually a railway. It's actually a railway line that has actually been downgraded from a train track. We're now into Elwood Park, and on the left-hand side is where the Australian Grand Prix would be run if it was running. Supposed to have run in March. That was postponed due to the lovely pandemic. But now we are on it was due to be done in November, and that was cancelled again due to the pandemic. So it's 2 years now that the Australian Grand Prix has not been running. If you can see on the right hand side there, and it's not very clear, but some of the old architecture, the houses around here are of a Victorian style. They are narrow but incredibly long and incredibly spacious and absolutely stunning. Some of the houses. One of the ways of being able to get to the racetrack is this walkway in front of us. It goes underneath a bridge, the bridge is underneath the railway lines or the light rail, and that takes you into the centre of the Grand Prix. During the time when the Grand Prix is not running, it's a park. I will at one point drive around it so that you can get to see it. It has sporting fields, golf course, soccer fields, Australian rules football, rugby, canoeing, because they have a lake there. That's right, Elwood Park Lake. So there's sailing as well. Whole host of different things you can do in that area. And on the left hand side you can see a blue facade here. This is a house, it was built by a famous footballer here in Australia. His claim to fame was that he played for one of the football teams here that won a lot of the grand finals. Sam Newman is his name. Sam Newman had a fetish with one of the actresses, Aniston is her name, I think it is. And what he did was instead of painting the wall, he put a glass facade, and in the glass facade he put a picture of her face on that glass facade. It was renowned for that, and as a result he got a bit of a reputation. Well, everybody knew he had a reputation anyway, but as a result with that, he subsequently sold the house, and the new owners, because of the reputation, decided they were going to keep the house anyway, keep the facade. So Jennifer Aniston has her face planted in the middle of an area called St Kilda, and this is the area, St Kilda. Again, the old architecture, some Victorian. This area is renowned for the drug culture, as well as the prostitution, but also was the highfalutin area, and is now just, well, it's starting to bring its way back, but you still get some of that underlying, the drug culture and also the prostitution. There are areas around here where the ladies of the night will spend their time on the streets, and the streets are basically just around the corner. But other than that, it's a very eclectic place, very interesting, shall we say. Lots and lots and lots of restaurants, lots of food culture, all sorts of things around here. We're going to be turning right into a street now called St Kilda Road. St Kilda Road has many names. St Kilda Road at one point, Brighton Road at another, Nepean Highway further on. It is the main north-south thoroughfare from the city out through to the southern suburbs. It is an incredibly wide road. and the reason why it's wide dates back to the horse and cart time frame, where they could actually turn a set of, a six horse carriage around very easily in that space. So the good thing about St Kilda Road right now, or Nepean Highway, when it gets to Nepean Highway, it doesn't have the trams in there, but you'll see driving past in front of us right now is a tram. So in the centre lane, all the trams go up and down. We call them trams, you might call them trolley cars. A vehicle that goes on like tracks, that goes on that carries a bucket load of people. That's what we call a tram. For those of you that are on the other side of the pond, yes, I am driving on the correct side of the road. Okay, so as you can see, this is quite a wide thoroughfare. 3 to 4 lanes going one way, 3 to 4 lanes coming back the opposite direction. It will now be split into 2 sets on either side. So we have a service lane and a main road. The service lane is basically for cars and so forth. The centre tracks are for, cars do go on it, but essentially trucks are limited to the big area. I don't know if you can see, but further over, and when I get an opportunity, I might show you the tram tracks. In actual fact, as we come up to this traffic light now, you should see there will be a tram crossing over. No, it won't. He stopped there. Oh. At any rate, the trams would cross over this main road and go into the centre lane. To a suburb called Elsternwick. Elsternwick has become a very popular area amongst South Africans, and also Elsternwick, Caulfield has become very popular amongst South Africans and also those of the Jewish community, purely because as communities go, they like to stay together, they like to do things together. So there is a fairly large community here of about 6 or 7 synagogues around, and about as many churches as well. So relatively a religious area here. On my right hand side is heading down towards Port Phillip Bay. On my left hand side, heading in, is more obviously more in towards the city area, or rather the suburban area. The city of Melbourne is directly behind me. Again, we're still in the suburb of Elsternwick. Again, it's a relatively affluent area. Houses here will go in the starting price of about $1 million up. Bit of a grey day today. The good news is it's bringing down a bit of the moisture, which is good. We need the water. But again, whenever you see grey skies, generally people feel down. For those of you that are interested, yes, we do have the Golden Arches. You call them McDonald's, we call them Maccas. They are here and they are thriving. As you can see, we're passing one on the left. As we head into a suburb called Brighton. Not quite there yet, we're still in Elsternwick. But we will be crossing into Brighton. Brighton would be one of the most affluent areas in Melbourne, in the metropolitan area. Houses here go for $4, $5, $6 and $8 million, etc. Number of car yards over here. We'll see the sign Holden. Holden is the General Motors product. You would know Holden as being Chevy or Chevrolet. Here we call it the Holden. Holden is actually being bought out by General Motors and has since stopped producing vehicles here. What is happening is that Holden are now importing vehicles. We're not exactly sure whether or not they're going to call them the Chevrolet or whether they're just going to stay with our branding and call it Holden. But essentially our factories are closed now. Turn into an area called North Road. On my left hand side at the moment is South Caulfield, or Gardenvale as it is here. On my right hand side it is East Brighton. And now because there's the word East, it's a little bit cheaper than Brighton. But East Brighton still carries a huge cost. And for those of you that are on the other side of the pond, I'm just making you feel at home by driving on the right hand side of the road. But as you can see, there are vehicles in front of me. You know, the number of houses that are on this road, there are quite a few residential areas that are actually on this road. It's a main road. It carries traffic all day, every day, and the houses on either side of this road go for squillions of bucks. So you can't beat it. It's incredible. Now Melbourne has trains, trams and buses that service it for public transport, as well as taxis, Uber and the like. Essentially here, bus companies will provide a service to the public transport corporation, and so all buses will fall within that. That they will put up their bus. All bus companies will put up their buses to suit the metropolitan requirements. They will they all go onto the same pricing or payment format. That is, we all get issued a Myki, M-Y-K-I, Myki card, and we use that. We present that card. You put money onto it, like a credit. You put that on, and then you go onto your train or your bus or your tram, and you tap it, and then they will deduct. So you tap on and off, and they will deduct the relevant costs from that credit. All are relatively efficient. So now we're headed into, on the left hand side, a suburb called Ormond, and the suburb on the right hand side called Bentleigh. As we come up, you will see that there is traffic lights ahead of us. The first lot here are pedestrian. The second lot are also pedestrian, but underneath that second lot is a train station. So the train, this is a recent thing. There used to be boom gates that the train would come, the traffic would stop. Now they've actually decided to put the trains underneath the bridge, and so we've just gone over the Ormond train station, and then here is the Melbourne has a lot of strip shopping around, so you can have a look, see, you can buy what you want in the strip rather than have to go to the shopping centres. There was a fading away from people going to the strip shops. Now they're starting to go back because the shopping centres are just way too big these days. Still in the suburb of Ormond, excuse me, but as I go across this road, we will be, on the left hand side, we will be in the suburb of Carnegie, and on the right hand side we will be in East Bentleigh or Bentleigh East. Okay, so now we are on the left hand side. Technically speaking, I am in the suburb of Carnegie. As soon as I make a right hand turn out of my lane, I will be going into East Bentleigh. East Bentleigh. Now, when I make my turn, you'll notice there is a chicken place called Red Rooster. Red Rooster is an Australian fast food chain, kind of in the same vein as KFC, but not exactly. They do a slightly different product. It has become relatively popular. Red Rooster has you can buy your chicken and your chips, and you can buy, it comes with a meal, so like chicken, chips, peas and salad, and then you can get a drink as well. KFC doesn't have all the vegetables, whereas the Red Rooster does. You'll notice that we've got these flashing 40k signs over here. This area is an education area. So what we've got is we've got a school. We just passed a school, and on the left-hand side here we've got a childcare centre. So what they what they've done is, ordinarily the roads here, you will travel in the suburban areas, you'll travel at 50 kilometers an hour. Here they've slowed it down to 40 kilometers an hour for childcare centres and school areas. Because of the pandemic, people are forced to stay at home. Not a lot of traffic, as you can see. The traffic is relatively quiet. And there you go, there's another sign, speed limit of 50 kilometers an hour. I'm just about fairly shortly to make a left-hand turn. Right over here is the second childcare centre in the road. So there are 2 childcare centres in this road, a school. Childcare is a huge business. The area on the left-hand side was an old school which they, in the late 80s, early 90s, when our state went bankrupt, the state government turned all those areas into housing, and so today there's a bit of a disconnect. You've got old houses right next to new houses, or new estates. Well, folks, I hope you've enjoyed our little journey around Melbourne, and I look forward to catching up with you in another chat.